Ultraman 80, Ultraman 80, he came to us from the start. 君は誰かを愛しているか、それは生きてることなんだ。君は勇気を持っているか、どんなことにも負けない心。僕の星から来た男が愛と勇気を教えてくれる。ウルトラマン80、ウルトラマン80。He came to us from the start.
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q episode 122. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
Among Us.
Among Us. I'm not having. I watched all these episodes on Monday, and so I have the summaries, but I've forgotten what they are. Oh no, I know what episode you're talking about. Never mind. Never mind. I figured it out.
They say the word Among Us and imposter in that episode, or at least in the
They do. Also joined by Brad.
So we're never gonna have a contest to like invite people onto the show, right? Lest we be attacked by aliens.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's why we haven't had any guests.
No. I wouldn't know what to do with a guest. I'm gonna be honest.
Same.
I would feel so strange. I would feel like, hey, you want to be here? That's strange.
Some people do. I mean, some people listen to us, so.
Yeah. But it's odd. Which makes it weird because I have been a guest on other podcasts.
Yes.
Did you know the giant robo team are like still in the 40s of Turn A Gundam? They're still watching Turn A Gundam.
Oh, really? Dang, I kind of figured they were wrapped by now.
I would not have the patience to watch the show like that. I have no idea how they've done this. It's Turn A Gundam. I would want to watch all of it, like, right now. They're in the home stretch. They seem to be having a good time.
That's good.
Do they have a plan for what they're going to do next?
I mean, they've... that's a good question, actually. I have no idea.
I haven't really listened to them in a while, so...
Yeah. Anyway, we have got 3 more episodes of Ultraman 80 to talk about today.
Can I raise something?
You may.
Relevant to Ultraman 80. But before getting to the actual episodes.
Go for it.
The new opening sequence, which just has cuts of Takeshi riding really fast, intercut with him just kind of like sauntering really slowly among the flowers, is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
It's crazy. This should be a show about... about falling in love with Takeshi. Is what this looks like. this is like the start of like the opening for a romance about.
Why is he running
perspective?
like that?
This is like the perspective of I don't know. There's no candidate.
It could have been
minute.
Kyoko, but
it could have been, but she's gone.
Yeah.
Well, presumably she's still got her job and she's still in love with Ultraman.
Yeah.
It is a bizarre opening. We have 3 new episodes. I have got summaries here. Do we want to get into episode 36?
I think so.
Yeah, sure.
Episode 36 of Ultraman 80 is called Hang in There Stag Beetle Wintering Team or Withering Team, depending on the subtitles you have. I don't know what that would
Withering
mean if it was...
team?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wintering seems like the correct one, because
Yeah.
it makes sense with the actual plot.
Yes, it does. Featuring Guaganda. A boy called Achan is trying to keep his caught stag beetle alive through winter, and an older boy called Yama is interested. They call the kids helpline, which I don't know what this is.
I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I saw in trivia that this is an actual like call-in science show for kids that existed in real life in Japan.
That's cool. That's cool. They get advice on how to keep stag beetles alive over winter. The primary thing is that you have to keep a stag beetle warm. Yama demands that Achan let him borrow the stag beetles to show off to a relative or something, and then while he's asleep, Yama's mother takes the beetle outside where it dies in the cold. Yama returns the dead beetle with a half-assed apology, and Achan buries it. He then wishes really hard that Yama would die, and Yama's like, I'm pretty sure someone just wished death upon me, and Achan goes, that's weird. Wasn't me, though. Later, Yama is out trying to dig for yams and finds the beetle grave. Yama digs up the grave out of curiosity because he's a weird asshole and unearths a giant stag beetle kaiju. This kaiju is Guaganda, and it's after Yama because of Achan's wish. Elsewhere in this episode, UGM have been fucking around with mirages. They thought this kaiju was a mirage, but they learn otherwise when they crash directly into it. Oops. Takeshi turns into 80, fights the beetle, while the kids figure out what the kaiju wants, and Achan forgives Yama. The darkness in Achan's heart no longer driving the kaiju to violence, 80 is able to get Guaganda to burrow back into the earth. Yama gives a proper apology, and Takeshi magically resurrects a stag beetle for Achan to take care of for the winter. The end.
I like the bit this episode where it's like, being a boy is thinking rhinoceros beetles are cool, while being a man, I mean stag beetles are cooler.
This is a strange position for. This is not the Toku series I expected to take a position on this.
Yeah.
There's a beetle Toku show. Not this one though. We've got
Yama does suck, but his mom is like a real out of pocket.
It's just like, she's just like, there's this gross bug. It's in a box, lady.
She's like a mother. She's a person who was born and raised in Japan, and the idea that her kids put insects in containers is foreign to her.
She's some kind of alien that has arrived in this show. It's such a strange thing for her to do.
Especially when she's like, it's like when it's like cold outside.
Yeah, just put it outside and it dies. I'm not like this is an episode about like the child's heart summoning the kaiju. But I'm not super invested in the beetle stuff. It does make me sad when children lose things. That is something that inherently makes me feel really sad when I see it in a thing. There was an advert when I was a kid for Viennetta ice cream, where the kid gets a robot for his birthday or something. It's like this little toy robot, and he deliberately smashes it, and then accuses his brother of having done it. The idea being that he's going to get Viennetta as a treat, and that's the advert for Viennetta. However, all this makes me think about whenever I see Viennetta is I think, oh, that poor child losing his toy. To this day. So yeah, it's a cheap trick, but it gets me when children just lose things.
The long-standing cultural tradition of like, you know, the bug collecting and like, you know, part of that is like the beetle fight stuff, is always interesting to me because I feel like there is like a broad spectrum of depiction when it comes up in like kids shows like this, where they don't actually get all that invested in the bugs, and they're more like they care more about getting the big one that can like, you know, be better than the other beetle. And then like you kind of get stuff like this where it's like, no, there is like it's like borderline like, oh, this is my pet, you know. And I always find it interesting to kind of see that, just because it's so different. Like, we don't really have this with, like, you know, the bug collecting stuff, like, you know, in the States, and I'm assuming by you too.
What the fuck bugs would people collect here is the question.
Yeah.
Like, I'm... What's the most impressive bug you find? I sometimes find... It's like repeatedly ladybugs keep getting into my flat, which is fine. You know, they just fly in, and I'm just like they're a little bit cute.
The Mirage thing just feels like sure, I guess this is the thing you're tacking out to this episode.
Yeah. The closest like we have here is like I knew some kids growing up that would catch like crayfish in like creeks and stuff and like keep them for a little bit, but like they'd always let them back. But
I suppose in the West we had to invent sea monkeys.
Yeah, true.
I had some of those.
I had some of those. I thought I'd fucked them up, and then it worked. So I was, you know, I was briefly the sad kid from the Viennetta advert, and then it worked out. Yeah, like Mal, like you said, I don't know what UGM is doing. They're fucking around with mirages. Ito's like, what's inversion?
Even the captain is like, hey, what if you go inside the mirage? They have to be like, well, hope you don't die.
Also, their conception of mirage is like a perfect like image clone. It's like there's a mirage of like a building because of the way the light reflects, and it's like, I don't think that's how mirages work. I don't think they produce like images like they're a fucking like it's ninjutsu. I don't know about that one.
No, mirage is basically just like a natural hologram.
Yeah. And then all of this is for the punchline where they think the kaiju is obviously clearly a mirage. It's just a beetle. It's just a beetle that's being reflected to be huge.
As opposed to like a kaiju, like which is a normal thing that we have to fight as part of our job, which is why we exist.
Yeah, I thought that part was wild. It's standing.
This is even more unhinged than the usual like tack levels of I don't believe you, child, for telling me a kaiju is real.
The captain at some point in this episode is like, I'm terrible at my job, after he's ordered his men to go charge into the very real kaiju, and they have to eject, and he's like, oh no, I'm a huge fuck up. And I'm like, yes bro, yes you are. Very strange. This kaiju is okay. You know,
I mean, it's a
bugs are cool.
It's a stag beetle.
I like when it does the beetle thing and then whirls around and tosses it tosses something. I can't remember. Oh yeah, it tosses the ship and then he transforms into Ultraman when he crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a cool bit.
That's a cool bit.
And then he's like, I'm sorry, I wish death on you. I'm sorry I killed your beetle.
Now, it is quite funny that the asshole child's crime is killing a beetle, and the thing that what's his face Achan has to apologize for is like wishing death on him. It's like strange extremes, but you know, this kids.
It's also funny that the UGM guys like crash at the beetle and they're just kind of walking up to these kids like, well, I don't know what's going on, but maybe you should just, you know, make up and be friends.
Yeah, they don't actually know that they're what's causing it. They're just kind of like, they're like, hang on, we're putting our job on hold. We have to intercede in this child's problem. Who made this episode?
This was made by the same director as last week's episode with the Dragon Festival, Isamu Aitsuki, and then written by Toshiro Ishido.
Okay, Mel.
Special officer is Koichi Takano, Gu Waganda, pseudo actor Sunasaburo Terajima. Also, the Ultraman wiki decided to put here for some reason an extensive series of paragraphs about Toshihiro Ishido's philosophy in writing episodes.
Huh?
Apparently, according to the wiki, Ishido has a philosophical conception of depicting evil and monsters they begins to deploy, which he may be, I don't know, shown in like the earlier Fish episode, but I'm not entirely sure. In a 1993 interview, Ishido shared that he majored in German literature during university, and as there he encountered the tragic play Faust, and its portrayal of Mephistopheles sparked a lifelong contemplation of the nature of evil.
Oh my god.
He even wrote a thesis on it. Ishido came to believe that evil is not an objective force that exists independently in the world, but rather a manifestation of the emotions summoned from within the human heart. For him, there is no such thing as an absolute evil that simply exists to be defeated, which is, in stark contrast, which shapes how he approaches Ultraman stories.
Mm-hmm.
In a book that is titled "Do You Love Ultraman 80?" I don't get what happens to these publishing.
No. I mean, it's pretty good right now, ish.
But
no.
Elaborated on this approach. When asked about the theme that monsters are an embodiment of human negativity, he admitted that he was only capable of writing stories about monsters that lack a commanding presence. He confessed he couldn't conform to the flashy, formulaic style of shows like those produced by Toei, where producers often demanded a villain who clearly looks evil and a fight every 3 minutes. To him, that kind of writing felt superficial and uninspiring. As a result, he often dismissed as someone who could only write soap opera-style drama, not a real evil. He was often dismissed as. Still, by his belief, evil is never something that exists independently from people. For Ishido, the battle would come only after emotions, resentment, conflict, and inner turmoil had been explored. One climatic fight he felt was enough. That's why the monsters in the episodes often have minimal screen time for battles and were sometimes criticized for lacking impact. These all taken directly from the wiki.
Can I be honest? I kind of feel like the way he describes it is more interesting than how they're often. Like, I wish he was more of a like a drama guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's that different than what everyone else is doing, to be completely blunt.
No, but you see, Ultraman Ace has Yapul show up for 30 seconds to say, haha, I'm the responsible for the kaiju, which makes the show totally different.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Ishido, I don't know about that one. Can I distinguish an Ishido episode from? I mean, this one does meet this kind of criteria.
I can also see in the Fish episode he did last time too. So I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's necessarily like something he was doing earlier, but if it's like a thing we can notice in his future episodes, that'd be interesting. But also be funny if he had this big speech and it turns out that we actually couldn't tell the difference. And it just
yes,
I think it's fun to like get the perspectives of the writers just to be like, well, it's cool that you think that, but doesn't mean we have to.
I think something I've been thinking about a little bit, but this kind of brings it to the forefront of my thought right now is So we have this whole thing in 80 about, like, oh, the kaiju come from, like, negative emotions and, like, how that builds up and then, like, spills over onto the world. And I really don't actually feel like, in a lot of ways, it's all that different from how we've had a lot of, like, not all, but a lot of monsters in the past. It's just kind of, like, they formalized it.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't been like the plot of the show.
Well,
in the
also
way that
the school being dropped also meant that we didn't get the negative emotion stuff for a while. It was just kind of like, oh, we're just doing normal Ultraman kaiju stuff.
Yeah.
I do think I am now thinking about this because you get like, so for in the school era you had things like the episode with the boy who's got a crush on the girl, and she doesn't feel that way about him, and I'm just thinking about how the ways that differs from like a previous Ultraman episode, and the ways it differs would be that in 80 Takeshi can like actually say, like, tell him, oh, these are the stakes. The stakes is that if you continue to let this fester, the people are going to get hurt by this kaiju. Whereas in like old episodes, like the boy who had a limp because the kaiju, the kaiju trauma, and he kidnaps another kid or something.
He does do that, and it's kind of not really commented upon in the episode outside of the scene it happens, which we did comment on. It's like
and thinking about how there's a degree of separation between the kaiju and the kid's plot, and I'm just thinking about like the different approaches. I think 80 you can have a little less. Maybe you can't. Maybe you can. I was gonna say you would maybe have to have like less variety if you really stuck to the premise. But obviously they didn't, so I can't say for sure. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, because I think we've had this conversation before of just like, there's just me thinking about Ishido. I think it's interesting that we get a lot of times, and I've been thinking of this because like, there's a podcast I'm starting to listen to called SF Ultra, where he's been like going through different sci-fi novels and like also the criticisms and stuff around those novels, and it's sort of like interesting to like think about, like, it's interesting. A lot of people will take creators at their word, even if it's not actually a thing necessarily reflected.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to have the perspective of the writer, not necessarily to like say, oh, this is what they were trying to do, I see it. I'm over being like, well, I think it's interesting that you think that's what you're doing.
When a creator agrees with me about their show, obviously, that's the word of God. We should simply believe them. Clearly.
And when they don't, it's death of the author.
Yeah, exactly. Do we have anything more to say about episode 36 of Ultraman 80?
Nah, I think this is a perfectly serviceable one. Not too many strong feelings.
Yeah. Do we want to see the return of Alien Baltan?
I guess.
Episode 37, Alien Baltan's Dreadful Zoo Scheme. This title had me going like, well, what's this episode gonna... And then they drop what the scheme is, and I'm like, why was that the title of the episode?
I like the one from the book, Alien Baltan's Terrifying Zoo Operation, which I also feel is doing a lot of lifting.
Yes. This episode, surprise, surprise, featuring Alien Baltan.
He's back.
He's back. A couple of kids, Kobayashi and Junko, have won a competition to visit UGM as junior reporters, another of Sera's PR schemes. The junior reporters ask some tricky questions about Ultraman 80, and eventually Ito is forced to spell out the theme of every Ultra show that has a defense force. This is all being broadcast live, and a boy called Masao is watching. Masao is big mad that he didn't get picked for the trip, and he decides he hates UGM actually. When he runs out on his own to get an offer from he gets an offer from a mysterious voice. What if you could visit UGM? Next thing we know, Masao, or someone who looks like him, is hanging out at UGM. He's there to deliver a message to Kobayashi, and in the meantime, he freaks out Takeshi by asking too many questions about top-secret stuff. He eventually tells Kobayashi, your mother was in an accident, and you have to go home. That's a shame, and I guess Masao is here. He can take Kobayashi's place as the junior reporter and maybe get a ride in the Silver Gull. On his way home, Kobayashi finds the real Masao, stood staring at the sky. Masao comes around and is like, where am I? What's going on? So who could that boy at UGM be? Takeshi takes Masao up in the Silver Gull, despite orders to stop, and then he reveals he knows Masao isn't Masao. Who are you? Fake Masao turns into Baltan Seijin. Baltan's spaceship arrives, and he tells Takeshi that he intends to take 80 back to Baltan space and put him in a zoo, showing off inferior life forms. After a kerfuffle, Takeshi transforms into 80 and fights Baltan, while the Space Mammy fights the Baltan spaceship. 80 and UGM win, and Masao appreciates UGM again. The kids even claim to understand Ito's explanation of the relationship between 80 and UGM, and Ito's like, what explanation? I have already forgotten that. The end.
We've come a long way from we have to take over your planet because ours is uninhabitable to life.
We have. Now we're at ultra beings are an inferior species.
They must be put in zoos.
We're fucking doing the fucking Space Jam plot.
Yes. Really. Yes, absolutely.
The Bolton children are going to have to play basketball against 80 and he'll never be balling.
He will never be... This would be hell for Dan. All he wants to do is to be balling.
Which is why when he took aside Gen to tell about the time that Father Ultra blew up the planet, he did it in the basketball court on the space station.
Absolutely.
It'll be like, Gen, you need to learn how to dribble better. I have duct tape knives to all these balls. And if you cut yourself, it's your fault.
You know Dan's a stickler about carrying.
I used the Ultra Eye to see that you did not pivot. You lifted the foot.
Dan absolutely is the reason there's a basketball court on the Matt space station.
Yeah, no one else plays. He's just got it there, and every year he's like, "Does anyone want to form a basketball team?"
And they're like, "No, this is Japan. We're obviously forming a baseball team."
Kotaro's that guy constantly showing up like, "Does anyone want to play horse?" And then no one listens to him.
Fuck. Damn. The alien Baltans are back, and they're just evil now.
Yeah. I feel like to be fair, I feel like we've crossed that threshold for a bit.
But they've been after revenge.
Yeah.
They've been after revenge before, which is like yes, they're bad guys, but they want revenge.
This feels like a motivation. Galaxy brain revenge. It's like, well, we humiliate the race that genocide us by putting them in zoos? ?
I suppose this does also raise the question of where are the Baltans are all. They've got like an empire or something, because he's talking about going back to Baltan space, and I'm like, okay, you have like several planets at least.
Maybe a few less because of Elf and his sacrifice.
Oh yes, so true. The bits of that manga we couldn't read.
Yes.
The Baltan plan here is to. So was he sneaking around UGM for, other than kidnapping Takeshi?
I think that was it. I think that was the whole reason.
But he's like peering out into space. He's like, I'm looking for a way back home or something. Is he stranded?
I don't think so. I mean, the ship's like kind of right there.
They have like
That's
this
a cool
whole
ship.
thing. and then they drop it the moment he ambushes Takeshi, and they go like, I've got a dreadful zoo scheme.
Yeah. The ship is cool, I think.
It is a cool spaceship. I'm a fan.
It does. This episode doesn't feel like is fully thought out all the way through. Maybe.
No.
I think it feels like someone said, "Well, we should get a Baltan in there."
I think it's I think it's funny, just like the Baltan be like, "Heh heh heh, I'll get you into the UGM," and he doesn't. He just pretends to be him.
Yeah.
But also, he just suddenly is just sitting there and drinking juice.
There's like, I was like, did my episode skip a minute? What's going on?
And I feel like there's something maybe interesting that is not said or confirmed happening, which I wish would be said, whereas like he just shows up suddenly and everyone is a bit bewildered by the fact he's suddenly there, but they don't question it, as like their memories are being altered to be like, oh yeah, this kid was always here, but they don't really do anything.
It does briefly feel like that, because the captain and Takeshi both look at him like, what the fuck is he doing here? Well, hang on a
what's
second.
he asking about?
Why is he asking us about the satellites?
Do you think that's something the actors were like, well, the script is bullshit, we should we should act like this is weird?
You mean like when at the end of Leo,
yes,
Gen pulled aside what's his name?
The lad.
The lad. It'd be like, listen, we gotta act like we mourn our dead sister, because
we're going to transition from misery straight into never talking about them ever again in the space of 10 seconds. So we have to do something.
Well, listen, Nova episode happened.
It did.
I have two other notes about this episode. One, I think it's immediately funny that the first question asked is, hey, how come you don't hire more women?
That is good.
It's a great first question.
I like how the immediate answer is like something just equally sexist, where he's like, well, I'd wish all of my subordinates who weren't Ito were women.
Which now that can be read a couple of ways. Captain and Ito, something going on there. He's like, I'll make an exception for Ito. I
do like the bit where like the people whose name I don't know were like, wait a minute, are you saying that you replace us for? You're saying we're not good enough? And it's like, well, maybe if you could pay attention so good, we need to replace you. And they're like, well, okay, we're quitting. And then it's like, actually, this is on live TV, and they're like, oops,
just kidding. I love how they're like, oh, this is on live TV, but then they point to the camera and it looks like the security camera that they'd have in the room anyways. And I was like, how did they set this up? Hold on, it's not how these work.
Streamer has questions about about TV broadcasting in the 80s. The immediate the annoying questions are great. I love just a child just asking, so why doesn't 80 just show up at the beginning of every fight?
Yes.
And Ito just has to lay out once again that old classic, the God helps those who help themselves.
But also the fun angle is they have to bullshit because they don't actually know.
They don't know.
Takeshi putting his finger on, I was like, oh, no.
The captain's like, in fact, Ultraman, I think, might be in the team. I don't know.
It's possible.
He might be among us.
It's just, it could be a man on the team or woman. We don't know. For sure.
For sure. The other note I had for this episode is I'm becoming full alien Baltan generations, oh, what's wrong with the children? This alien Baltan cannot do the teleport dash. It just kind of The effect is not as cool as when Alien Baltan first showed up.
Oh, they're not passing down their cultural
No,
knowledge.
it's because they're on their phones coming up with Zeus schemes instead of learning how to teleport dash.
Kids these days don't know how to invade Earth.
But yeah,
Dad,
I was a little bummed.
You also got fucked up by Ultraman. Shut up, son.
That was a genuine source of disappointment for me this episode when the fight started. I'm like, well, at least it's Baltan, so we'll get like the cool little like mirror image like dash thingy that they do, and instead it's just like disappear, reappear, which like I can be a fan of, but I wanted to see a cool teleport dash, and they don't really got it.
Yeah, rip. Who made this episode?
This was made by Toru Toyama and then written by Toshiro Ishido.
Okay. So, if a bad guy who wants to put the hero in a zoo for inferior species is supposed to be some kind... How does that fit in with his ideology?
Because he takes advantage of the sad boy
Oh, that's true.
scheme.
That's true.
Which I still think is kind of stretching it.
I'm trying to figure out how he did it in this case, because like, he does just he offers the Faustian bargain to the kid, except the Faustian bargain is the kid gains nothing, and the Baltan just pretends to be him to infiltrate, which he wanted to do anyway.
And this implies that he needed specifically to impersonate that specific child to achieve the goal.
This would make more sense if it was a Mephiles episode, actually.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know what? Yes, this is a Mephiles episode. It does imply that because I'm not sure that we've had this power set from Baltan before, where he can change forms like that.
Not that I can remember.
This implies that there's a reason for this. It's because it's a very limited power set. He needs the agreement of the person in order.
It's like vampire rules.
It's like vampire rules. He needs the person to agree before he can he can disguise himself as them.
Well, you know,
it's like vampires for the body. You know what? That's a sentence for vampire people. They listen. Okay, we're moving on. Mel. Your stuff for this episode.
Yeah, special actor is Kazuo Sugawa. Baltan suit actor is Tomohiro Sato. The Baltan suit this episode is the one modified from the suit used for the new Baltan fight footage in the 1979 compilation movie Ultraman Great Monster Decisive Battle, and that fight scene Red and I watched in our Ultra Fight episode Extravaganza.
Oh, I see.
So,
I see. What else is there to say about this episode? I'm not sure. I think
Baltan being like, Takeshi, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
Yeah. I'm a kid hating UGM out of jealousy is fine and all.
And then everyone's like, how dare you?
How dare
Respect
you
the
hate
troops.
UGM? You have to respect the troops. Yeah, we Ultraman does not have space for someone who just genuinely doesn't like UGM, and that's fine.
They have to have a Freudian excuse for why they have a twisted personal vendetta that can be used to subvert our glorious heroes and their virtuous missiles.
Yeah, they're virtuous missiles.
This episode did remind me of the time that me and my younger cousin went to go see the Mythbusters, not the main two, but the other three, do like a Q&A thing at like a live event. And because they didn't choose my cousin to because they had everyone raise their hand to come around to ask questions and shit. And because my cousin didn't get chosen, he hated the Mythbusters for a year.
I'll admit, me in middle school had something like that happen to me, where I was the asshole, where I forget the year, but I got that they had like comics kind of event at the Toronto Library. It includes some webcomic people. And I met both, like, the guy who wrote Dr. McNinja and also Andrew Hussey.
Okay.
And so I think I asked Andrew Hussey for something like a signature or something, and he was kind of just like, I was very awkward, and it was kind of cold, and I was like, oh man, Andrew Hussey's, not friendly guy. And meanwhile, compared to Dr. McNinja's guy, who was like the friendliest guy I ever met, and I was like, oh man, I like the Dr. McNinja guy. I got a signed copy of Dr. McNinja in a book format. And then years later, reflected on it, was like, well, to be fair, Andrew Hussey does have to deal with Homestuck fans. I understand. I'm actually more sympathetic to Andrew Hussey.
Yeah.
There was someone who asked who I did overhear say, oh yeah, I asked him to sign my bucket, and I was like, oh okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if I've
Who's
surely
the most
had
famous
something
person
like this.
you've met?
The most famous person I've met?
Most famous person, man.
Met. I don't know about met.
You mean besides like accidentally walking past Keiji Inafune in Osaka?
I've been in I mean, this is an incredibly British. I've been in the vicinity of the Queen. Rest in piss.
Oh,
I was like happened to be in front of like Buckingham Palace when the Queen and King rocked up in their car.
oh,
Yeah. There's they're like weirdly accessible, to be honest, the royals. They do a lot of stuff just in public.
That makes sense.
Because it's kind of their job, right? Their job is to be a public face.
And landowners.
And landowners. And apparently cover up various pedophile conspiracies.
So the Anglican Church is also taking the role of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, and you listen.
Mel, have you
we're not
landed
so
on
different, you and I.
Mel? So it sounds like you have landed on that was probably for sure Inafune, because I feel like the first time you talked about it, you're like, I think.
I mean, I feel like one, it's more fun to tell the story that way, and two,
True.
it's sort of like, I feel like when I imagine it, when I saw his face, it was like, it's more like because
that's
it took
him.
it's just like it took me like a second, and like I didn't realize until like after 30 seconds after I walked past him.
Yeah. Oh, that's
My
funny.
mum meets famous people, like just out and about. It just happens. I don't have her skill for this. She's just out there just meeting people all the time. I'm like, well, how the fuck do you have this photo with this? And also, she's incredibly chatty and social, and so she will just say hello and come away with a big smiley photo of the both of them because everyone just talks to her just in public and likes her. And I'm like, how the fuck do you do this? What the hell is your power? She just chats.
I think the two that I have, funnily enough, and then I don't know who comparatively is the more famous, is at a family reunion we had at like a bar that was mostly just an excuse to like talk to distant relatives we barely see. Gallagher, aka the comedian who smashes watermelons with a hammer as this whole bit, was just at the bar, and everyone was like, is that fucking Gallagher? So then my stepdad was like, oh, we gotta meet this guy. And keep in mind, I had no idea who the fuck this was, because this is well past his time. So I met this guy, and then when we were back in the car, I was like, who was that? And then I looked him up after, and I was like, oh, okay. That dude was high as shit, let me tell you.
Okay.
And then the other guy is that somehow when we were in New York City, we stumbled onto the guy from the show Cash Cab, and we said hi and chatted for a bit. He was very nice. You know what? This is probably a very American thing.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
have
game
no idea
show
what
that
Cash Cab is.
It's a game show where the gimmick is that in New York City, there's a taxi cab going around, and you get inside, then a bunch of lights and music plays, and he goes, you're not in a regular taxi, you're in the Cash Cab, and then it's like a trivia game show, and like if you like lose, you don't get any money and he kicks you out. But if you get to your destination, you get to keep all the money you've won along the way, but you can also go like double or nothing at the end.
I see.
And yeah, we met the guy who drove that, and he was very nice.
I think I do. The closest thing I have is like comedians, because like my dad was a manager for a pub that had a comedy club, had stand-up comedy, and so there was a bunch of like British comedians passed through there before they got big, so like James Acaster, that kind of thing.
That's the service that hosts our podcast.
True.
That's true.
This is Red's roundabout way to be like when they said that they were guests on other podcasts. This is their confession. They were on Joe Rogan.
I know. Yeah, I've been on Joe Rogan. What would I talk about with Joe Rogan? What subject would I take?
Well, isn't
to Joe
he a
Rogan?
weird freak about aliens? You could just tell like the plots of Ultraman episodes, but like say they're real.
I really could.
So you're saying there's a terrifying zoo scheme?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that they take all the like inferior species there.
And then they put people in bubbles.
It's so many like bubbles that float people up into the sky.
Wow, Jamie, pull up the bubbles.
I'm not finding anything on those bubbles. Well, that's what I heard anyway.
Somehow this trickles throughout the manosphere and ruins an entirely new generation of men.
Exactly.
We're living in dark times.
I'm starting to getting run over by a car training.
The Jackson keeps posting about being British and Americans talking about panel shows, and I don't post about this. However, this is a sentiment I share deeply. There was a Matt Colville, the D&D guy, once posted about a British comedian called Lee Mack being a genius, and I was like, I can't follow you anymore. I have to unfollow this. You can't think. I can't stand this. British comedy is awful. It's a cesspit. Anyway. Do we have anything more to say about?
I was just gonna say, you
37?
don't think it's funny that when Ricky Gervais does a crucifix phone pose with a microphone
Now,
and puts
it is
atheist
funny,
on his
but
chest?
not on purpose.
Yes.
It is funny that he did that. Fucking weirdo.
Loser.
I have one more note on this episode I think is funny when he wins by throwing Baltan into the ship and they both explode. I laughed.
I do think that's funny. I do think it's funny how Bolton becomes the size of the ship.
How does he fit in his ship?
Well, he's kaiju size. He has to shrink back to human size.
And
That's so
remember,
true.
the first time we see him, there's like 4 trillion or some shit in that one ship. They're all just really, really, really tiny.
Now, 2 billion. Let's not exaggerate. Sorry.
Oh,
let
no.
me put on.
Oh, no,
I'm
we're going down a dark
the defense lawyer for OG Ultraman. I think you'll find it was only 2 billion. Your Honor, please prevent the witness from exaggerating the genocide again, please. Episode 38 is called Echo Through the Sky, Ultrafather's Voice, featuring Gosden. There's a boy called Futoshi.
That sounds like a British town.
It does sound like a British town. Gosden. There's a boy called Futoshi who lost his father to a kaiju. His dad was a long-distance trucker, and he encountered a dark cloud type of kaiju on Nakatsu Mountain and crashed. His assistant driver was killed, and Futoshi's dad died of his injuries 2 months later. He died warning Futoshi that the kaiju would return, despite the UGM investigation finding no kaiju, and the official findings being that Futoshi's dad is full of shit and fell asleep at the wheel. Futoshi sticks by what his dad told him, and for this he is named Lying Futoshi by the other kids. With the encouragement of a girl...
assholes to him.
Real assholes. Real assholes about the fact that his dad died.
Yeah.
With the encouragement of a girl, he decides to enter his dad's kite in a competition, and he's even going to paint it with a picture of Ultraman 80. This girl also discovers that Futoshi's mother is shunned by the wife of the other driver who died in the crash. Futoshi encounters difficulties, but gets through them on the strength of his father's final words of encouragement that he must grow strong. He must grow to be strong like a kite. I don't know if kites are strong, but okay. Futoshi finishes the kite and enters the competition, which is one of those things where you use the kites to try to knock each other down or sever your opponent's strings. Futoshi's mother is encouraged by Futoshi's decision to take part in the competition. It comes down to just Futoshi's 80 kite and a kite painted like a kaiju. The fight is undecided and resumes an hour later, at which point a dark cloud comes from Mount Nakatsu and possesses the kaiju kite to become the giant kaiju Gosden. Elsewhere in the episode, UGM has been fucking around looking at spirit photos. They then show up to fight Gosden. Takeshi has to eject and on his way down gets zapped by kaiju beams a couple times. When he lands, he can barely move. He gets a vision of the Ultra Father telling him to be strong, to stand up and fight. Takeshi transforms into Ultraman 80 and then flies Gosden like a kite and defeats the kaiju. Everyone now knows that Futoshi wasn't a liar, and neither was his father. Takeshi meets him and says, "Cool kite." The narrator is like, wow, look at these two strong sons of noble fathers. That's it, the end. Takeshi not involved in this child's story at all.
I do think it's funny. Takeshi gets like owned, and he's like, "Oh, I can't move. Is this it?" And then Father Ultra just like does like a video call to him and is like, "Listen, I would just handle it. Get your ass back up." And Takeshi's like, "You know what? You're right." And he does just get back.
You're supposed to be Ultraman? What are you, a fucking pussy? Get up.
Both of these episodes, and like this one definitely less so than the last one, feel like someone are like, oh, there's not enough Ultraman stuff in 80. We need to like get some more Ultraman stuff in there. Because this scene feels like it could have been... You could completely cut this scene and the episode plays exactly the same.
Why is Father Ultra
feels
here?
like such an afterthought.
Yeah.
Remember the end of Taro when they just like... The episode where... what's his face? Got his fiance died and he got married because Father Ultra just came out of nowhere and just brought her back.
Yeah.
Also, he's just like he's a floating JPEG in the sky in that episode.
Yes. Father of Ultra continues to be one of the weirder additions to the Ultraman canon. I don't think he's had a normal appearance yet. Obviously his best is the key. It doesn't get better than that.
Mochiron's pretty good though.
What was pretty good, sorry?
Mochiron.
Oh, the Mochiron one. Oh, that is pretty good. It feels kind of extra. I mean, basically, I just think Takeshi feels kind of extraneous in this episode.
Yeah.
He's not. I think Ultraman itself feels extraneous in this episode. The kaiju returns, but then it's just like, yeah, Ultraman has to return, come back and fight it. But like, the episode is about this kid, and he's not actually involved in anything. Takeshi doesn't meet the child.
There's a case to be made that this almost would have been. This feels like a story that maybe would have been stronger had it not existed within the context of Ultraman, because, I mean, we joke about this all the time. Everyone making fun of him and not believing that his dad died because of a monster is, like, ridiculous. And it feels absurdly cruel, and they have to justify it by being like, well, we didn't have any, like... Basically, evidence. They're like, well, the weather didn't tell us that there was a monster that day. To try to justify it.
Yeah.
Kaiju happen
The thing is, the
time.
EGM is still investigating it, and they're still treating it like a solved case.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is just like I can see people being this kind of shitty, even if like the story hasn't come out fully, like the investigation's still ongoing, because like people love to like just believe the first accusation. But at the same time, it is kind of fucked up.
Mm-hmm. I quite like Futoshi's, like, just Futoshi and like his whole thing. I think it's like a good little, the fact that he's tied, both him and his mother tie his participation in this kite competition as him moving on when it's got no real connection, right? To the fact that his dad died, despite, you know, other than the fact that, you know, his dad made the kite or whatever. But it's like this, you know, it's the sort of the way that people work is like it's just that he's doing something and he's finding something that's important. And
yeah, it's kind of like tied in with like, oh, the kids who suck are doing the kaiju kite, and therefore it gives him catharsis to use like the Ultraman kite to beat the kaiju kite and all that.
And
so that's fun.
in the end, he doesn't actually beat the kaiju kite, right? It's just that it turns into the kaiju.
Right?
Yeah, and I think it's good that he still, you know, he doesn't get the opportunity to actually win the competition, but it doesn't really matter.
Because it turns out, he's right the whole time.
He was right the whole time. And, you know, you got the people just turn, like, seeing the kaiju and immediately being like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done those things.
I almost feel like this would have, and to be fair, maybe this is maybe punching a little bit too far above the age demo they would like to, but I almost think like a lighter touch on like the bullying and people being shitty to, because like it's not just the kids, it's also like the other guys, like wife and kid are like, oh, like, you know, your husband's a murderer, basically, like that shit.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like a lighter touch with that and have it more be focused on, like, there was an accident, everyone feels some sort of way about it, and, like, center the kids' feelings more rather than just, like, I feel like the bullying is, like, there to display it to the kids as, like,
yeah,
like, he feels really bad about it, and, like, you know, like, instead of just having it be more ambiguous. In a way that kind of harms it, to me personally. But I do still like all the stuff with... I like the kite stuff a lot, like you talked about. And I think overall this is like a good episode that I think with a little bit of more time in the oven could have been better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I also generally just think there's a degree of wish fulfillment in like having everyone immediately apologize for being I've shamed my bullies into accepting that I didn't lie to them and they're nice to me now. But it's TV for very, very small children. So
and children are like, I can't believe your dad made the monster.
It's the dark feelings in your heart invented the monster that you claim killed your dad.
That would be brutal. Do you think that there are certain subs that when the Dark Cloud shows up the second time, they call it Dark Chronicle?
Shut the fuck up. I was like, the moment he starts on, this is going to be a fucking Dark Chronicle joke.
I love that game. Good game.
Oh yeah, we're going to call it Dark Cloud 2. Where's the cloud? Shut up. I have that I have that downloaded on my PS5. I should play that at some point.
It's fun. I haven't played it since I was a dumb child, so it might not actually be good, but I liked it a lot as a kid.
I like Dark Cloud, despite the fact that the last half of the build projects were fucking boring. And there are 6 build projects. 2 of them were boring. 1 of them was racist. there's the whole racist town in Dark Cloud. It is what it is.
I love the RPG town where the gimmick is racism.
Everyone does.
One of the weird quirks of not knowing how what liberties were taken by working designs with Lunar is having a town where the gimmick is like pretty sure they say this in game, quote unquote, inbred Hicks, and I'm like, why did you do this? I don't think that's what the original Japanese is.
Playing Dragon Quest XI, and I get to the fake Okinawa island, and people show up and go aloha, and I'm like, oh, I see.
Well, yes, I'm pretty sure
Americans aren't gonna know what Okinawa is. Just make it Hawaii. It's close enough. Okay.
Yeah, there's also Japanese people in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why there's the Yakuza games up there.
Yeah.
I can't believe they called that game not Yakuza 8, but the other one, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Is that what they called it? That's pretty funny.
No, the one there's like a spin-off with Majima where he wakes up and thinks he's a pirate, and it's called Like a Dragon, the Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Wait, he's not a pirate? He just thinks he's a pirate?
Yes.
He's Hosho Marine for real? What?
Because it's not like a, the Shinsengumi game. It's the one. It's actual ass Majima wakes up in Hawaii and thinks he's a pirate in modern day Hawaii.
I see. That's interesting. Anyway, who made this episode?
I have not played this game.
This was made by. Wrong page. Directed by Toru Toyama again, and then written by Bunzo Wakatsuki.
Mal.
Special effects actor is Kazuo Sagawa. The Gozen suit actor is Tomohiro Sato. None seems to be given for Father Ultra, so who fucking knows? Fun little trivia I saw. On the sign for the kite competition, it mentions that it's maybe hosted by Sakuragaoka Middle School. Their name appears on the sign.
Oh, okay.
This was not in the episode script, so it seems to have just been an Easter egg by the art team, being like, "Oh, hey, we like that part of the show, so we're gonna put reference to it here."
Nice. What else is there to say about this episode? The girl did not come... I can't remember her name because I didn't write it down in the summary. She didn't come up much in the summary, but she's like a pretty important part of the episode. His relationship with his friendship with this girl.
Yeah, she's like supportive and like nice to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, it's like she's kind of the window into their situation. She's the one that sees that that his mother's also getting treated like shit for this. I think this is a pretty good episode. I just think I'm like, Takeshi's not here. This episode does not feature Takeshi, which, like, obviously I don't think Takeshi is going to solve every child's problem. That is kind of what the show is, though. And so it is kind of funny when the child solves his own problem, and then, with the help of the people he knows, and then Takeshi shows up at the end and says, "Hey, I like your kite." That's me.
Yeah. I guess solves his problem as much as can be solved once it has been proven by the kaiju suddenly appearing, like, "Oh wait, you were right, actually. My bad."
Yeah, and then the kaiju needs solving. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably my favorite of this bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a few gaps that, like I feel like a second pass would have done this wonders, but it's all right. I think I'm kind of open to, if they want to go in a direction where maybe Ultraman and the host don't always need to be super involved, I don't think I'd mind, if I'm being honest.
It just seems strange for the show to do.
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's the frustrating midpoint between that, though, too, right? Where it's like, well, this guy is obligated to show up every episode no matter what, where, like, it feels odd.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that might be us on Ultraman. Mel, do you have color timers?
I do.
Shoot.
Episode 36, 4 minutes, 46 seconds. That's a bit over. Episode 37, 2 minutes, 35 seconds. Episode 38, 1 minute, 56 seconds. And Father Ultra for 43 seconds.
Nice. All right. That is going to be it for Ultraman this week. We'll be right back to talk about anything else. I did not quite finish Tsui no Sora in time for today.
Okay.
I've just got to speed through some the Kotomi, the last Kotomi chapter for the Kotomi route. Just holding down control.
Oh, you mean like you did like, so you got an ending?
I got an ending.
Okay.
Zakuro's deal was not what I thought it was gonna be.
I'm alive again.
What'd you think it was gonna be?
I mean, it starts out as like, well, I see where this is going, and then it gets halfway in, and I'm like, I no longer see where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
What show?
This is I'm not quite finished. I'm not. I will probably be talking about Tsui no Sora next week.
Oh, I see.
That's kind of crazy.
I'm good. Well, yes, Denpa stuff.
There are absolutely way too many sex scenes. I'm like, this does not need to be a whole scene. This does. I'm so bored. Please, I don't want to. I want to just be hammering the space bar to get through it, but at the same time, I'm like, there might be a tidbit of character in here. Oh no. Yeah. I don't want to miss anything.
This has been my experience with Denpa as a genre, where I'm like, there's some really interesting stuff here. Then I'm like, God, I fucking wish half the people writing this were like 10% less edgelord, or like just horny.
Well, it seems it might be just being a Rogue problem, where it's just like
it does feel like perfunct. It does. It feel like there's the stuff where it's like getting into like edgy horny, and then there's like, I'm talking about even like there's a romantic sex scene that I was just hammering the space part getting through.
I think it's just like might just be an Rogue problem, where it's like, well, these are ostensibly part of why the genre exists, and
so they have to be whole scenes. They can't just be like impressionistic.
Yes.
They can't be like, I'm gonna depict like the character stuff and then like with like one CG. No, it's gonna be like this is gonna be 3 or 4 CGs, and
it's gonna take like 20 minutes.
I
have that with like Super Hippie as well, where it's like I think. I'd say it's like on the spectrum of like closer to Kite than Mezzoforte, as like, well, these are still serving a purpose. I just wish they were shorter, because I don't think you need to spend as much text on these as you need.
Shoutouts to the route in Muv-Luv where 2 characters literally crash through a roof and go, oh, there's a bed here. And just fuck
I will hear your Takuji thoughts, I guess, next week.
I Takuji thoughts of what the fuck is wrong with this boy.
Well,
I didn't
yes.
know that was what was going on in your head, bro. I did not know that. I'm the Maho Shouju Ririru. Okay.
He's a
Okay. Welcome back.
he's a strange lad.
He is a strange lad.
I'll probably also finish the Hibby guy next week.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long one. Okay.
I'm in the home stretch. I've just been no-lifing it a bit.
Nice. Yeah, welcome back. We are talking about anything else. What have you been up to? Who wants to go first? Not me.
I got some stuff, I suppose.
Go for
Okay,
it.
go for it.
So I talked about it a little bit last week. I started Silent Hill F. I'm still on the first route, so like 4.5-ish hours in. I think I'm about halfway through. I don't really feel like I can comment too much on the story because so much of that like first half of the game feels like setup, and I have yet to see the payoff. And I'm curious how that all goes. I have had there's two things that the story has done so far, both in game and out of game, that made me go like, I feel like I'm gonna have strong opinions about this. The first is one of the things about this game is that the main character keeps like a really detailed like diary journal, like that it is both for gameplay purposes and also for like expository, like, you know, she has entries on like all of the members of her families and then also like the characters you meet, but then also too like she takes notes about like the town's locations, I believe, and the monsters you encounter, and what she writes there, like there's a gap and a discrepancy between what she writes in her journal for her eyes only and also how she engages and interacts in the world with the people around her, which is very interesting. And part of the game seems to be about that tension so far, right? And like it's very gendered too, where especially too like depending on who she's interacting with, people treat her differently, and she feels as though she is expected to act certain ways. And definitely is like, oh well, I need to be, you know, a little bit more like, you know, reined in and perhaps acting a little bit more shy and, you know, dainty than I would otherwise like to. Yeah, there's gender expectation stuff going on, right? So, the very first thing I did when I opened up this game is I read through all of the descriptions she gives of her home life and family members, and I went, oh no, this is too close for comfort. I've felt some of these things.
I see.
So specifically, the one is that she has a journal entry on her older sister, and like her face is like scribbled out in like the pen ink or whatever. And is like, oh yeah, we were really close, and then she moved away and left me to deal with all the shit back home because she got married. And I went, oh no, this was basically me when my sister left for college. And then later on, because I'm not the only person in my friend group who's been playing this game, and like, you know, whenever someone's around, like, you know, just in that group while we're chatting, it's not uncommon for people to be like streaming what they're playing and other people to watch and comment and shit, and like, you know, trying to be good with like, you know, if someone's ahead, like not doing it to avoid spoilers or stuff. But one of my friends completed the game, and a few of my other friends watched it, and then the very next day when I hopped in the voice chat, they were like, we don't think you should play this in a group setting, Brad. You should probably play the rest of this alone.
I see.
And I went, okay. I think this is a game I'm gonna have some feelings about. So I'm curious to see what the rest of it entails. I know I got some New Game Plus runs to do after. One thing that does seem nice is it does seem like once you go through that first run, the following runs don't seem to be too much of a time sink, which I appreciate. Getting the different routes and stuff. I am like kind of on the combat in that game. I wanted to play both on like the like hard puzzle difficulty and like the hard or like not hard, but like default. Like this game's weird because it has like easy, hard, and then harder kind of like difficulty. With like sort of thing seems like for the puzzle and the combat. And I think by default, story is set to easy and puzzle is set to like the hard, which is how I kept it. But I accidentally confirmed the settings. I wanted to change the combat to be also hard. And having played more of the game, I'm like, I don't know if I care enough about this combat for it to be harder, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that on paper, because like the thing everyone's joking about is like, oh, she has like a ridiculous like dark step, like which time dodge.
Yeah, people
like,
have been talking about. I didn't know high school girls could just dash like that.
And so
I didn't know
the
they
thing,
could do dodges like that.
Specifically because I believe she goes farther. Like the default, like in a lot of games, unless you input like a direction, like she goes backwards, like it's a backwards dodge. That thing has so much range that it looks inhuman in the funniest goddamn way. But like on paper, I can understand them going for this sort of system and thinking, well, there is like a horror here, and like this makes you look at the enemy and try to read them, and like it makes you pay attention to how freaky they're moving around and how inhumane they are, and like it is unsettling. Like I actually think the enemies in this game have really, really good animations, and I think they're creepy. There are these scarecrows enemies that when you have the camera pointed at them, they don't move unless they're like close enough to attack you. Then they'll like lunge at you. But when they're off screen, you just hear like them clanking around and like stumbling towards you, and it's such a good effect. I love it so much. It's like my favorite enemy type in the game so far. I get that. I will be honest. I feel like this. So like everyone's been joking too, like, oh, it's like a kind of like Souls-like combat. I think if the buttons were not mapped to where they were, I personally don't think I would have thought about it in that paradigm, if that makes sense. Because it does kind of feel like, oh, like to me, this feels like they're rethinking how do we do like a modern take on the you have a dumb like crowbar or 2x4 and like make it feel awkward and hefty to swing, and like your character isn't really comfortable with this. Like it does still kind of have that vibe brought into the modern day. But it's serviceable, but I was originally thinking like, well, maybe on New Game Plus I'll bump up the difficulty, and then having heard what other people have said about it and also just my own experience, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna play this one for the story. I don't give a fuck about the gameplay part of this too much. The puzzles are all right. Like they're your standard survival horror fare. You know, just enough you have to run between different rooms in this creepy building to like find clues and figure out stuff and read notes along the way and all that to have a good time with it. So yeah, I'm curious to see where this game is headed and what the broader swings it takes actually lead to. It seems like my friends are pretty positive on it, but also I am interested because basically all of them were like, yeah, this rubs up against some personal stuff for you that you're probably going to have strong feelings on. So I will report back, and hopefully it works for me. I'm curious. So,
nice.
Yeah. The other thing I've been doing, I think I alluded to this last time around. I've been watching horror stuff with friends. Kind of been a slow start just because people have been busy, so haven't done it as much that we wanted to this year. I did, because I have wanted to watch this for a while, I did ask my friends to join me going on a picnic at Hanging Rock, because that seemed like an interesting movie. Have either of you seen it?
Nope.
No.
Are either of you familiar, premise-wise, or anything?
No.
Nope.
Okay, so Picnic at Hanging Rock is a 1970s Australian movie that is based on a Australian book about an Australian geologic feature even, called Hanging Rock, that, is kind of like this remote, like, rock outcropping, that looks like a weird little, like, stone, like, tiny mountain, big hill who can say that you can climb and go into, and it looks neat. But it's also like in the middle of nowhere, right? And it's
in
about
the state of Victoria.
Yeah. And this book that was then adapted to a movie by I forget his name, Peter something. He's the guy who did the Truman Show, among other movies you would recognize.
Peter Weir.
Yes, that guy. So he directed it. It's about this, like, these schoolgirls in the year, I think exactly 1900, that go out with some of their teachers for a picnic at this place. And it gets weird really fast. Like, they all seem to be in something of, like, a dreamlike state. And then 4 of the girls are like, hey, we're gonna go climb the rock. And then it follows them as they kind of in a trance go up and have some odd conversations about, like, life and, like, you know, some more surreal, like, navel-gazy type stuff. And then some of the girls go missing. One of them freaks out and panics and runs down screaming. And then one of the teachers, while everyone else is asleep, seems to sense that something is wrong and then goes up the rock while the other's coming down. And she also goes missing. And they just can't find them. And it like, makes no sense. Like, detectives are immediately on the case, there's an investigation, there's a manhunt. There's, like, no trace of them for the longest time, and then it kind of goes from there. It's a horror film in the loosest sense. I would personally say it's more of, like, a mystery. This is kind of a spoiler, but it's also kind of the reason the book is famous, so I don't feel bad. Like, the entire thing about the movie is that the mystery is never solved. You never find out what happened to these girls.
I see.
And it's about the grief and the aftermath of people going missing. And, like, how it impacts all of, like, the women and the girls around them. There's also, like, these 2 guys that were, like, saw the girls on their way to the rock, and then, of course, they become suspects, and they get involved in the case because, like, they too are like, well, we want to find out what happened to them. And it's kind of how this tragedy haunts the rest of them. It's a really great movie. People in the movie have their own theories and kind of throw out there what they think is going on, and all of them are kind of interesting in their own way. And the way that they characterize the girls left behind and how they feel about things is really strong, and just imparts this, like, really uncomfortable feeling throughout the whole thing of, like, fuck, like, the world is big, and sometimes shit happens in it that you just have no control over, and it's hard to move past. Great movie. I highly recommend it. I want to read the book now. Apparently, like, it is beloved in Australia. Like, it's just a very famous book over there. After the author died, the chapter that was supposed to end the book, that is the explanation, was put out by the publisher, apparently upon the author's request.
That's
it's
so
really
strange.
Yeah.
It's a really funny explanation.
Oh my god.
So I will say, it's not like, when she wrote the book, basically she had an editor was like, you take this write the fuck out. It's so much better if we just never find out what happens. And the author's like, you know what, you're right. But then she had a publisher who picked up, because she had to rework some of the book with that change in mind. And she had a publisher that, like, I guess over lunch was like, hey, there's a few sentences in this chapter early on that feel like foreshadowing that's never followed up on. Was that intentional, or was that something that, like, got cut? And the author was like, oh, you're the first person who has ever talked to me about this. Tell you what, I'm gonna give you the original ending. When I die, feel free to do, like, you know, put this out there in the world. I don't give a shit. I'll be dead. So they published it, and everyone's like, oh, that's dumb.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it is, like, there are some, like, I'd say there's still some literary merit to it. Like, the actual events as depicted are really silly, but it does tie into the rest of the book in ways that are kind of interesting, and does have, like, some thematic resonance that I actually like quite a bit, especially with how it's, like, without saying too much, the event as it happens is from the perspective of the girl that understands it the least. And I think that there's some interesting stuff to consider with that gap, especially she is from a very she's from a very different socioeconomic background than the other girls. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some juice there that maybe some other people I've seen commenting on it don't necessarily fully give it credit for. That I think is kind of fun. But yeah, I highly recommend watching the movie and then maybe tracking down that chapter just to be like, oh, okay. You could just find it like as a PDF online. Like it's like the first thing that shows up.
The only thing the one thing this makes me think of is the fact that early in like writing Poirot, Agatha Christie wrote the last Poirot story and then kept writing Poirot, and then she died, and then the last Poirot story was put out. Is it good? I don't know, but you know, it's from when she was in her heyday, so it you know, people like it more than the late Poirot stuff.
See, whenever I see published like posthumously, I'm always like, oh, this is either a hidden gem or complete dog shit that should never see the light of day.
Just like Sandworms of Doom was definitely written from Frank Herbert's put aside ideas.
Yeah.
From 4 post-it notes.
Yeah.
So there's a documentary about the making of this movie too. It's mostly just like staff and actresses talking about like their experience working on it, and like it doesn't have too much, but like it is kind of fun because it's like one of the main girls I did get a kick out of, because she is like, yeah, everyone talks to me about this movie and it's like, oh, it must have been just like being in school again. And I went, yeah, that's why I fucking hated it. Suddenly everyone has these cliques that they're in and people are talking shit about everyone else behind their back.
Wow.
I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Nice.
It's like, damn, that sucks. Also, the other takeaway from that documentary is like, I think it's like Peter Weir's like publicist was like, yeah, so the first thing I told him when we met the author to try to get like the rights to the book were, don't ask her what the explanation is because she's gonna get really mad. And they sit down for tea, and the very first thing he does, he's like, so what happened to you girls, like from your perspective? And the author's like, come on.
That's great.
But apparently beyond that, they got on like well enough that she's like, okay, you're the only person who I trust with this movie, and it worked out. So the last thing that I've been poking away at is I've been reading some short stories by Clark Ashton Smith, who is a name I don't think most people are going to recognize. He is a pulp writer from back in the day who was I believe he is actually the author that had by volume the most presence in the original run of Weird Tales magazine.
I see.
He is kind of in that same social circle, but never really was close to Lovecraft and Conan guy who's Robert E. Howard, whose name slipped my mind for a second there. And he maybe doesn't get remembered or talked of as much, but was kind of in that same milieu. Notable, he's the guy who brought back the gargoyle as like a popular fantasy creature after it was absent in literature for a bit. Nice. So if you're like, oh, gargoyles are cool, you got this kind of.
If you're a fan of the Disney cartoon from the 90s, you have this kind of thing.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. I know people that are big fans though, and also I do think a gargoyle is cool. I'm not gonna lie. So, reading this guy's work, he is also classified as like a pioneer of quote unquote weird fiction, right? Which is like kind of the early fantasy sci-fi stuff that was like, let's really go in on the gonzo shit and how like creepy and odd and unsettling and like inhuman and bizarre this can get, right? And some of that stuff is really cool. I think maybe the reason why this guy is not as remembered as some of his contemporaries, is that I think that perhaps the Sands of Time have been less kind to some of his work in a way that, like, you can read a Lovecraft and, like, the big idea can still kind of be evocative of, like, the cosmic horror thing, right? It's like, okay, like, there's still, people still play Call of Cthulhu, like, there's still, like, an appeal to, like, the cosmic horror stuff that he was establishing. You know, we can talk a lot about the sensibilities of his work and a lot of those ideas and how a lot of that shit has definitely, you know, there's some vile shit in there. Same with Howard, obviously, too, like, especially with, like, the Orientalism stuff. But, like, the core central appeal of the idea of, like, the sort of fantasy they're giving into still, I think, is evocative for people. Sometimes you read a Clark Ashton Smith story and it's like 16 pages long, and then at the end is the big, like, kicker is, and then I had a vision where I saw my wife and her and our unborn child, and they looked like a skeleton, and I passed out because of how scary it was. And it's like, okay. Sure, I'm sure if I was reading this in the 1930s, that would have given me a real fright, but some of this stuff is just kind of it doesn't hit in that same way. However, then you get other bangers, like the first thing he ever wrote, The Abominations of Yondo, which is a killer title, and is about a heretic man who is let out of his cell from these weird, like, zealous priest warriors, and he's like, okay, you're free to go, all you have to do is cross the deserts of Yondo. And he's like, oh, I've heard horrible, like, no one ever crosses this thing, I've heard horrible things. And he gets a ways in, and he finds a little oasis, and he's like, you know what, this isn't so bad so far, like, it's just a desert. And then he hears a chittering noise, and a 7-legged spider with the horse of a face and, like, a giant, like, mosquito, like, you know, type, like, I forget what those things are called. Starts with
proboscis thing.
Proboscis comes out of a cave, skitters up to, like, the lake, and starts to suck up the water. He's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And it's just about this guy's journey through a desert, seeing all these horrifying creatures, and, like, suddenly there's a second shadow following him, and he's like, I don't know, I don't see anything causing that shadow. Why is it following me? And it's like, okay, this guy does have the sauce. D&D, classic D&D fans may know this guy for being the inventor of Averoin, who, which is the, if you've ever heard of the module Castle Amber, it's technically an Averoin set adventure where, like, your D&D party goes to this guy's, like, fictional province of France that he invented for fantasy stories to take place in. Like, it's literally
how's
just
it spelled?
Averoin, like this. I'm probably saying this horribly, but but yeah, he basically invented, like, what if there was this tiny part in southern France where a bunch of magic shit happened, for his fantasy stories to take place in. Because I guess he also had a love of medieval France.
I see.
He actually, on that note too, he is also credited for being, like, a big inspiration on the Dying Earth genre, and particularly Vance loved his stuff a lot. He had another setting called Zothic, which is basically what if, like, there was an apocalypse and there was Zothic, yeah. Like, what if there was a big apocalypse and magic returned to the Earth, and all that was left was one big, like, supercontinent, basically, for all of this, like, magic shit to happen. And, like, there are traces of, like, Vancian, like, magic stuff being established in those works. That people have, like, said, like, oh, if this stuff wasn't written the way it was, Jack Vance probably wouldn't have done magic the way he did magic and stuff like that. So that, like, that's kind of neat. But I read the first Averoin story and it rules. It is about a guy who is traveling. I think he's like trying to visit back up with family or like visit family or something. But he's going through this dark wood and he's like, I don't like this. This is kind of creepy. And he stumbles onto like an abbey. And the abbot and everyone and like all the monks there, really kind. And they start like getting along really well. And he's like, oh, do you want to see our really cool library? And he's like, yeah, let's see the cool library and like chat about philosophy and art and like, you know, literature and all that stuff. And then he notices, like, a creepy, black, like, roughly bound book, and he's like, oh, what's in that one? And the abbot's like, you're not allowed to read that one. And the guy goes, oh. Well, I know the first thing I'm gonna do when I get
You're gonna read that
chance. One. Yeah, when I get it. So he reads the book, and he learns about, like, the ruins of this, like, old fort in the woods, that all this creepy shit, like all this demonic activity and shit's going on over there. And he's like, oh, I think that's the ruin I can see from my bedroom window, because from, like, the, you know, like, the bed that they gave me. I'm gonna go check it out. And I guess notably, the demonic activity specifically is like, oh, there are succubi and, like, witches that do shit out in this woods. The whole story is about this man attempting to contact the dark forces in this ruin, and the abbot going, I need to go track this lad down and prevent him from getting his shit sucked. And it's so fucking good. The abbot does prevent him from getting his shit sucked sloppy style, and the narrator ends the story by going, I'm coming back. One day I'm coming back. I'm gonna get my shit sucked.
I'm gonna summon a succubus urgently.
Yes. Yeah. The good weird. Like it is. I understand the appeal of like, oh, you got some minutes to kill, like waiting for a train or something. Like you're gonna pull out this magazine and read something weird. Like there's another story that's like 3 pages long that's basically about a demon flying to another planet and like talking to like the last siren who is crying because like the last body of water on the planet is drying up, and like they have a little conversation about like being these immortal creatures, but how like if there's no planet to exist on, like does that ever truly last? Like there's some good fun stuff here. I'm excited to keep reading more of it. So turns out fiction from like 100 years ago can be kind of rad sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got for this week.
Nice. Sick. Mal, what you been up to?
I don't have much, like I said. I did watch a film, though.
What film?
As an addendum / supplementary viewing to reading Subihibi, because it comes up a lot. I watched the 1990 French film adaptation of a play called Cyrano de Bergerac.
Oh, I see. Cyrano de Bergerac coming up a lot in Subihibi?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Very important to the narrative.
Okay.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna get context for this. Not that the game doesn't give you context, I was just like, well, I may as well experience it. I presume you've heard of it.
Yes.
But Brad,
guy wants to woo a woman.
Not.
Guy wants to woo a woman. Gets Cyrano de Bergerac, a poet, to write poetry for him. Like basically tell him how to woo this woman.
Yeah. So basically, you have like
yeah,
Renaissance man, actual person, but this isn't really reflected in the plot. Cyrano de Bergerac, he's like a duelist, a poet, like really eloquent, but he has a big nose, and so he's like, oh, I'm ugly, no woman would ever love me. And then there's
one of the joys of Cyrano de Bergerac adaptations is how big are they making this actor's nose? Anyway,
and then so he meets up with this guy called Christian, who's like really handsome and conventionally attractive, but he's like, when I try and talk to a woman, I start peeing and pooping, and so I can't actually get a woman. And so Cyrano's just like, you know what? I'm just what if I just write all your words for you, and you can woo women that way. And so they woo this woman named Roxanne, who happens to be Serrano's crush and also his cousin. You know, it's the era, 600s, whatever. And basically the story progresses like that, where it's like, well, hijinks ensue. Eventually, like, Christian dies, and so Roxanne goes into mourning, and eventually, on Serrano's deathbed, as Serrano's dying from like other reasons, Roxanne finds out, oh no, you were the one whose words were the words I fell in love with. Whoa. And yeah, it was a pretty nifty, fun movie. It's like a swashbuckling kind of movie. Apparently, there's like a really highly regarded adaptation, the 1991 specifically.
1990, okay.
It's like I keep seeing the trivia. It's one of the few movies to have a consistent 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating. And I'm like, well, okay. Totally pretty accurate, even though it's obviously condensed, maybe because it's a film. And historical setting stuff. It's fun. Nothing really as much to say about it. It's just like, oh yeah, that was a thing I experienced.
Nice. Cool.
But I feel like I probably should experience more plays at some point. Just think about it.
Plays are good.
Which I admit partly I started thinking about because you mentioned Brecht in reference to Tsui no Sora. So
having now played most of Tsui no Sora, I do think it's somewhat interesting, but it's also just going to come up again in a little bit because I watched a movie that's got some Brechtian elements in it. It's just weird series of coincidences.
Yes, like when, like the coincidences when we when
we watched when we were reading Golden Kamuy and we did the first podcast and like 8 different crossover stuff was happening at the same time. Yes. I'm looking up the Peter Dinklage Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yes.
Does not give him a big nose. They just rely on the fact.
Yes. That's why I did
that he's a dwarf, and I'm like, that is criminal. You should give him the big nose. The Cyrano de Bergerac's whole thing is that you can't just be like, ooh, this makes him not conventionally attractive. Fuck you. Give him the big... It's Peter Dinklage. Come on. Get out of here. It's fucking rude. Anyway. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else, or was that your thing?
No. That's what I got.
All right. I got a few things.
I too will probably partake in more plays, but as I've hinted at many weeks back, I need to continue being British pilled. You'll find out what this means eventually.
Oh, I think I know what this means. I think I've guessed what this means.
The Great Shakespeare Project.
I think this is a great Shakespeare project. I think this is the Henry ad. I think you're watching the Henry ad. You don't have to confirm or deny that. I wonder which version. I wonder if you're doing the full, like, the extended Henry ad.
Oh, you'll find out.
Okay. Man, I should read the fucking Henriette plays.
Let me tell you, it's fucking good.
I actually don't have a lot of Shakespeare in my belt other than high school. Like, I haven't even read Hamlet, so
yeah.
But I have read King Lear, so
Yeah.
I haven't read any of the histories. So
Man, King Lear's good.
Yeah, it is.
So I have been playing video games, watching movies. I finished Ace Attorney Justice for All.
yeah,
That one's pretty fucking good. I am a fan.
Is this the third one?
second.
No, this is the second one.
Second one. Okay, this is the one that I've heard mixed things about. I feel.
So it's interesting. So Franziska von Karma is excellent, just consistently.
Yeah,
Very big fan. I need to gauge this in because the first case is a tutorial, and so it's not the first real case. The first real case is the first Francisca case. That one I liked. I liked that one a lot. The second Francisca case, the circus one, I'm like, there was a lot of really annoying adventure game logic in there. I didn't really care for, and I'm just like, well, whatever. And then the last case, character comes back, and we get a little Edgeworth trial, and I think they find. Because Edgeworth in Ace Attorney 1 is, like, kind of weird in that he's, like, he starts out as, like, he's such a villain, and then he's got this connection with you, and then he's this guy who's helping, he's helping you solve a case, actually, in secret, and then it's just, like, he's just kind of pinging back and forth between this stuff. It doesn't really feel like a natural arc. And then he goes away soul searching at the end of the game, and he crashes back into this game having done his soul searching and come to an answer. And I think it's a cool answer for him to have arrived at, because, like, he basically comes to the conclusion that, like, because the last case of Justice for All does, like, what I would eventually do if I was running Ace Attorney. It has you defend someone who did it. Yeah. They did the crime.
Yeah.
And
the miracle never happened.
No, the miracle never happens. There's a degree of like, they can't go all the way and have, like, because ultimately you have to get this guy in jail, really, and you do this through fancy footwork. Actually he's the one who wants to go to jail. Like, we're the defense lawyer, and we can get you an acquittal, but we've managed to create these circumstances where you want to go to prison. And it's like this this is very funny, very silly. I do not really care about Ace Attorney's, like, moral compass. This is like a series that is supposedly about how they're poking fun at the fact that the justice system in Japan is so skewed in favor of prosecution. Also, you play a defense lawyer whose exclusive method of defending his clients is by prosecuting the real culprit. Ideological consistency will not be found here. I don't care. What I do care about is Edgeworth being like, I can fight my cases against Phoenix Wright is, like, important to me because I can fight my cases with complete confidence, regardless of whether the defendant is guilty or not, because Phoenix Wright is my absolute equal, and therefore the only deciding factor is the truth. I'm like, you're so crazy gay, it's so good.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that. There is only one truth. I do think towards the end of that last case, there's a couple of... No, actually, not towards the end. I think there's a couple of witnesses in that last case that do fall victim to just, like, this needs tightening up, because, like, I'm picking, like, one piece of evidence. Like, there's a thing where it's like, I want to... someone is claiming, I walked into the room and I didn't know he was dead. But his body has a knife sticking out of him. Also, there's a photo of the crime scene. I present the knife as evidence, and I get the punishment. I lose hit points, and then I show I'm scouring all the evidence. Eventually, I show the photo, and they're like, "Oh, this is the evidence that works. And then immediately what happens is Phoenix goes, here, look at this photo. As you can see in this photo, you found this
Nickelback
knife
voice.
and shows the evidence I presented earlier in the body of the defendant. I'm like, fuck you, game. That's the evidence I showed.
What the hell was on Joey's head?
What?
Look at this photograph.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there was still plenty of that. I mostly just liked it. I was like, this is pretty good. I like, also just, I think, again, Franziska von Karma is very cool. I think a much better go at having like a genuinely like vindictive bad guy than in Ace Attorney 1. I think Manfred von Karma, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Franziska von Karma's revenge quest is so good. Especially when she's like 18 years old and is like, ah, yes, Miles Edgeworth, my little brother. I'm like, okay, you're crazy. So yeah, I liked Ace Attorney Justice for All. I think people like the third one a lot. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that one.
It's the beloved one.
I see. Well, that's the one I'm playing next because that's the third one.
Yeah. That sure is how you do it release order-wise.
That's how you do it. That's how you play the game. And then I've got the Apollo one, right?
Yeah. That's the fourth one.
Yeah, the beginning of the Apollo trilogy.
Allegedly.
The series all about Apollo justice.
Yeah.
What else do I do? I've been watching movies. That's what I've been doing. I watched, speaking of Brecht, I watched Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a musical, 1973. Nice. That's a pretty good movie. The Brecht stuff is like it opens with all the actors rock up in a bus together and then put on their costumes during the overture, and like they're all like dressed kind of, they're all dressed kind of like all the Romans have like these like shiny chrome like helmets, and they're wearing khaki, and they've also got spears, and then there's all sorts of stuff, and there's like tanks and jets in this movie and stuff. That's obviously the thing that Jesus Christ Superstar is it's the Judas Jesus Yowie movie, and it is very good on that front. It's a good Judas.
Didn't Scorsese also do a Judas Jesus Yowie movie?
Is that what his Jesus movie is? It's a Judas Jesus Yowie movie. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about being a Christian is you get Judas Jesus Yowie, which does give you a little bit of is kind of the source of Christianity, maybe. That's like the one bit of it that I'm like, that's kind of cool. Is like I think it's funny that throughout history people have consistently been like, oh, what about Judas though? Like, oh yeah, we found this Gospel of Judas. We definitely didn't make it up because it's cool.
Yeah.
People just they want there's something romantic about the betrayer, who betrays him with a kiss. This is a pretty good movie.
The feet people get something too.
The feet people get something. The feet people do get something out of Christianity. That is true. The Jesus stuff. That's why Death Note's like that.
Yeah.
God bless Toshiki Inoue.
Personally, I think it's really neat that we got a cool cup and a cool lance out of it.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about Jesus Christ Superstars. It's good. Some good. I think Herod's song is like, I'm like, I don't care. I want to get back to the. I think a lot of the. I think the Jesus. Obviously, I'm raised in a European country, and so I fundamentally, for some strange reason, find Jesus being like, oh, I don't want to die, compelling. I'm like, it's just good, it's good.
No,
pretty
Jesus,
good
you
movie.
gotta do the spiral matai.
The fact that she's so into it and her new friends are not anymore.
Yeah.
I am I am basically half an hour away from finishing Tsui no Sora, so we'll be talking about that next week maybe. I've been watching other stuff because it's horror season. I watched Halloween yesterday because I'd never seen Halloween before because I'm a baby, and then it turns out I'm like, oh, you know what? This is just
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. I'm like, I've blown this up in my brain. This is fine.
I can't remember. I don't think it's my mom, but I definitely know somewhere in my life there is an older woman who literally cannot hear the Halloween theme without getting goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason given was, listen, when that movie came out, I was a babysitter. That shit terrified me.
I mean, here's the thing: is the very end of the movie is John Carpenter being a real son of a bitch, because you've got the Donald Pleasance being like, in fact, yes, that was the boogeyman, and then goes to where the body is and it's gone, and then you've just got all the shots of the indoors where he could be hiding somewhere in the shot, while you hear the breathing and the themes going, and I'm like, John Carpenter, you motherfucker, you scared the shit out of some people back in 1978. You were just wanted to put the fear of God into someone sitting alone in their home. It's like, good job, man.
Are you going to follow up with any of the sequels?
I don't think I give a fuck. Maybe two. I don't know.
I think there's a case to be made that 3 is worth a watch. The one that's completely unrelated. And has the stupid song.
You want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Those movies are increasingly funny as they go on. With okay, we're gonna kill him off in a way that no one can come back from because we need to
back.
And then he comes back every time, and it's so funny.
Baby.
I had. Speaking of third horror movies that are worth it in a series, I watched Day of the Dead, which I talked about Dawn of the Dead last time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched Day of the Dead. That's the third one. That one's that's really good.
What's the hook of this one? Because I feel like I've seen this, but I don't off the top of my head.
So Day of the Dead is they are underground, and there are some scientists, and there are the military guys who are there to guard them, to keep them safe. And the scientists are some of the scientists are looking into trying to find cures for the zombie thing, and one of them is that seems somewhat out of our league at this point and maybe not possible, so is looking into domesticating zombies. And then the guy in charge of the military element has died and left a new guy in charge who is fucking done with this science bullshit. And there's a lot of just... This is like an 80s movie, because they go Night of the Living Dead is a 60s movie, Dawn of the Dead is a 70s movie. This is an 80s movie. This is like a Reagan movie about these awful soldiers, and because there's the main character is the one woman in this setting, and there's this kind of fashy hyper masculine. It's like trying to reassert masculine dominance in this setting from these soldiers. It's very like oppressive environment. And then you've got like the only hope that any of these people have for the future is the scientist that they call Frankenstein, because he's clearly off his rocker, and his extremely grim experiments on zombies. And like the sympathy for the zombies is at its highest here, right? Especially because this is the one where there is a zombie in this movie who is a character, right? Bub, who is...
That's right, yes. Okay,
yeah,
I remember.
This is the Bub movie. Bub's so cool.
Me when I'm Wolverine.
Yeah. There's just a nice little dynamic here of this like this scientist guy having his toy zombie and him calling him Bub, right? Being like there's this classist element, right? And because he's, you know, he wants to try to domesticate zombies and say, oh, they could even like do tasks. They could like work for us. He's like trying to create like this new slave class of zombies. And there's a couple of guys in this movie, the pilot and the electrician, who are out living in their little caravan or whatever, away from the main base. And they're a couple. They're like extremely, and you know, this movie just kind of rocks. The special effects on the zombies are really good. There's a lot of like really gruesome stuff in this movie, but I'm a big fan. I think I don't know if I just kind of like zombie movies or if I just like George Romero zombie movies. Entirely possible it's just the second one, because he seems good at it. But I do think I'm gonna watch Land of the Dead. I think maybe I'll stop there, but I'll watch that one. I
think the problem I always have with the Romero Dead movies is like I feel like I always remember like Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. I feel like I remember most distinctly for obvious reasons. Past that, they start to blur for me. But I do remember thinking that they do really interesting stuff with what the societies look like at like I think it's in Land of the Dead. Like I think they have a thing where like they just imply that when they catch people doing prostitution, they like throw them in a cage to like fight zombies as like entertainment or like some shit like that. Like he does weird shit with it that I feel like other movies are lacking.
There's been a sort of like you know, since Dawn of the Dead had like this thing where like the survival immediately became like this boys club thing, and the woman who's pregnant has to be like, can you stop excluding me from the conversations about our survival, please? And so and then in this movie I think it goes even a step further, where there's just this such oppressive misogyny that the main character Sarah has to go through constantly. I think it's interesting seeing the development of this from Night of the Living Dead, where like the notable thing about Night of the Living Dead is that like black main character who is like competent and cool-headed, also who is like put up against like the main threat to his life is the surrounding white people in his life, who keep making bad decisions. However, this does mean that he's just got to slap that hysterical white woman, and I think the Romero Dead movies come a long way from that. I think there's very clear feminist reads of Day of the Dead. I'm like 80 to 90%. I'm like, there's also the queer stuff with the pilot and the electrician guy, and I just think it's a very good like Reagan era movie. right? And then, you know, obviously that has applicability in our current climate in unpleasant ways.
I do think it's interesting, and you kind of lose this with the last three just because they're so close, but like it's kind of fun how much of a gap there are between those first three movies, right? Because like you can feel like, oh, times have changed with each of them.
Absolutely. So yeah, I was a big fan of Day of the Dead. So what else have I done? Have I done anything else? I might not have. I mean, I'm in the middle of a bunch of stuff, but I'll talk about that another time. I'm playing Kudelka.
Oh, nice.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
I should play that game.
Yeah.
I watched a friend stream half of that game, and I spent the whole time going, man, this game fucking rules.
It's so good. The performances on the character models in the cutscenes are so like outside of the FMV cutscenes, they're so good. I'm like, man, the late PlayStation 1, because like this game, I started playing this game and only realized like a few hours in, I was like, oh, I don't have subtitles on. This is like full voice acting, and it's just it's good. It's good. I'm very impressed. That might be me.
Yeah.
Do we have any? Oh, I know we have at least one email.
Yes, we. That's all we have. Just the one from last week.
Can you please tell me how Mothra Fanboy feels about Ultraman Leo?
Leo. Mothra Fanboy subject line Ultraman Leo. If I had a nickel for every time a tokusatsu franchise started a timeline in 1971 and stopped airing episodes in 1975, only to come back in 1979 and be taken off the air in 1981, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, etc.
Which Toku series is this?
Kamen Rider and Ultraman.
Okay, that's funny.
Well, I mean, Kamen Rider also did go like an extra year because of Stronger, but like I think Stronger only had like 30 episodes or so it may have ended in 75, but yeah.
It should have been Strongest.
Yeah. That's the only thing I know about Kamen Rider Stronger is that clip. But
Kamen Rider Strongest.
The thing that sells that clip the best is because he studied in Switzerland, he actually speaks English fluently.
Yes.
Or so Strongest.
So he does the Toby Fox Toho project thing.
This is the one I go to every time, is the Terror in Resonance anime. There's a CIA guy in there, and he speaks like the most clear, like fluent English that I've ever heard an anime character speak, with a obvious British accent.
Well, like the girl
for the CIA
Anon
guy.
School.
Oh, was I sorry?
The girl at Anon School.
Oh yes! Oh my god! When you've got the characters speaking like broken English, and then they turn around and there's a character who just says with full galottal stuff, "Have you got my book?" I was like, "What the fuck? Where'd they find you?"
I would say overall,
email.
I'm positive on Leo. Sure, the show sucked in the middle. Imagine having a good 7-episode series and only 2 episodes being good. Talk about Focus Lop.
Yeah.
But it was good.
So that means there's 2 good Folks Lop episodes. What are the good Folks Lop episodes?
Well, one was the Kagi episode.
One of them's the Kagi episode. I don't know what the other one is.
The other one might be the one where Leo shrinks. That's definitely the best of them. I think we thought maybe it's not like a good episode, but I think it was like of the Folks Lop ones, it was the best one.
Did that shit really last 7 whole episodes?
Yeah, it was like over 10% of the show. It was like
we were really struggling.
I do remember that.
I usually would talk about my thoughts on the defense team, but they aren't here.
Damn,
I like
life's
that.
So short.
I like that. It's cool having guys of the week. However, I do have thoughts on the Annihilation. Parentheses, I'll always referring to it like that. So the show starts strong, like really, really strong. I think the first 2 episodes of Leo are the best opening to a show I've seen so far. I'd say that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the story's really cool, and it's unlike anything we've seen so far, except for 7. It's not, oh wow, they are a human who got injured when Ultraman saves them, makes them an Ultra, which you've gotten for basically every show since Return. I'm kind of sick of it. But again, is an alien like 7, so that's really cool. The vibes in the first story are spectacular. I also like all the characters they introduced. I kind of wish they gave an episode to Takeshi, but whatever. The show continues hitting with the knife alien Toru's and Kairo's parents' death. It's another super strong two-parter. I like the alien, this one too. The next episode is one of my favorites of the show, where Toru's upset in the parent picnic. It's a good one and is one of the best Ultra Series episodes in my opinion.
That's the one with the device.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yes, that is a great episode. That is like one of the best ones.
The death of parentheses Check's booklet close parentheses Shirado's girlfriend's death is great too. It also gave us the car scene. Parentheses yeah close parentheses.
Absolutely.
The show's next 5 episodes are admittedly not as good, but I still enjoy them. It features the flower episode, which is cool. The monk episode, pretty enjoyable. I like the monk. The Guru episode, which is 7 coded. Leo's pet. Alien Kettle just kills a random boxer and his wife. All that stuff. Also, there's a culturally insensitive episode, Zoned Out. Fuck that episode. The show goes back to its roots with episode 13 and 15. I like the one where Gen tries to prove his innocence. I also like the one with the scorpion monster. That one is cool. And I really enjoy the one with the blind person. Wax House episode. Also, El de Chimera from Omega reminds me of Alien Adler. I had mixed feelings on the horror series. I like the werewolf one, but not so much the vampire one. I do remember us thinking, like, it is weird they gave us 2 vampire episodes, and the one that's a werewolf is the better one of the 2.
Yeah.
Mermaid episode was okay. Didn't like the skiing episode, but never ski.
Never ski.
Never ski.
It's funny that all of them are about all those episodes. This stretch of episodes is about Hokkaido. In the preview for the episodes, it says, I quote, is the first in the Hokkaido series. Then things start to fall to shit. We have Astra episode sucks. Don't care about the donut alien. Both are clearly trying to get kids back in the show. Then we have the one with the girl running after the robots, which is cool. Alien love triangle. Hate the dumb whippersnappers in the alien clean episode. The poison garbage is gonna fall from the sky. Will you shut the fuck up? I think that was me having the origin of hating the whippersnappers, actually.
Wait, which episode is this? Sorry,
the alien clean episode, because the kid was really annoying in that episode.
Oh.
And I used to
hate that episode. You hated that kid, and we were like, why you hate this kid?
He's just so annoying. Now it's time for the folklore series. 13% of the show is ridiculous. 7 episodes? Why I enjoy only 2 of the 7? Absolutely baffling. I like the 1-inch episode. Okay, that's what I thought. Ultraman King is perfectly fine. I like him more on the penultimate episode. The 1-inch montage was cool. I showed this scene to my friends who like Toho, and I thought it was cool. Because there's a Toho character. Then I suffered for 5 episodes. Episode 27, Oni Monster was pants down, not funny, not entertaining in the slightest. I was waiting for it to end. Episode 28, they took the turtle episode, the beloved turtle episode, and ruined it. How do you take an incredible concept and trap it this much? Episode 29, so much potential for the Anne episode. It would have been far more interesting if it actually was Anne, so the concept was failed. Episode 30, Alien Magma Return makes me want to scream. An awful conclusion to the story. The decision was baffling. All these are
Forgot about Alien Magma coming back.
Children, remember Alien Magma? He's here to marry the most beautiful kaiju in the universe.
Episode 31, honestly, who likes the flower spirit? At this point in the show, I was thinking, damn, the show had so much potential. So I guess it's going to be ending a lesser Taro. No. Thankfully, the folklore series ends with a bang with Princess Kaguya, which I really enjoyed, and I made a really cool episode after it with the Haunted Apartment and Akamania.
That's true.
The Return of Ultraman is perfectly fine. The Piss Monster is a pretty fun time. Alien Lantern Mind Games is cool, and I adore the Mirror episode. That is a pretty good stretch of episodes.
Mal, how do you feel about the Piss Monster?
I don't like the piss, but the episode is pretty good.
Okay.
The key two-parter is key to Astra's character. See what I did there? But I still hate Astra. Brad's with you. Overlap on the two-parter.
As is Ultraman.
No, yeah. We're gonna fucking kill you.
Astra, we're gonna kill you.
Then Max gets annihilated. I knew Mac got annihilated from the start. My impression was that Dan stayed. Then I saw his awful mustache. I was like, well, I guess he's gone now.
The mustache. I've blocked the mustache from my memory.
That's fair. So I enjoy the Saucer Creature series. Only one episode I dislike. The opening with Silver Bloom is kind of creepy, and I like the Flying Saucer kid is cool. I like the one where the kid is trying to heal the animals. I enjoy the Bloodsucking one. It was average. Shooting Star and Ghost Girl were pretty good. Hungler is my favorite kaiju from the show. No questions about it, except for maybe Nova. The episode's okay. You guys don't talk about it, but Leo does go destroy small Hungler from the inside, so that's cool. Killer Seashell episode is really cool. Bloody eyes are kind of scary to me, especially me being sensitive to eye stuff. The Dirt Pack Photographer is also cool. Nice episode.
Mm-hmm.
Last 2 episodes work perfectly as the final 3. Nova's episode is perfect. One of the best Lee episodes and best of the Ultra series. That's right. Really like the Bunny episode. The stakes are kind of high. Really like seeing Ultraman King for one last time. The finale, fuck that finale, was good. I don't know a lot of what to say, but it was really good. Black End was a goofy final monster, though, and I like Commander Black being taken down by the whippersnappers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out you can just end a show good, and we think it's good.
Yeah. It's that easy.
That's my thoughts on Leo. Very conflicted on where I put the show in my ranking, but here's my final decision. Love it or hate it. Show ranking from worst to best. Ace, OG Ultraman, Arc, Taro, Leo, Q, Return, and 7.
Okay.
Now,
Cool.
Before I get to questions, I want to say I'm not watching 80 next. Despite the rubber subtitles, other than the modern shows, I want to tackle Ultra Series in release order. That's why I'm watching The Star Ultraman next. I'll give you updates on my progress every now and then. But other than this, I'll be only emailing in for Omega. I would appreciate you giving feedback on the subtitles, how you feel about them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm kind of curious. I know they're kind of the worst.
We've heard mixed things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like things are going slow on the translation end, and I'm like, well, I'd like to have an idea. But I'm the impression that, like, they are worse than the Mirror Man ones, so.
Right.
And also the
Mirror Man's ones got bad.
Yeah.
Mirror Man.
Anyway, question time. The usual one for a Mothra fanboy. Which Leo monster do you want as a pet?
Giant crab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good one. You want? Yeah. Black Dome is good.
Crabs are just cool.
And, my defense team party question really fell to shit with this show's take. I don't care. Which member of MAC do you want for the party?
Dead Guy 3.
I want
I would go for Dead Guy 4 myself.
I want the slalom guy.
That's
Dead Guy
right.
4
Slalom
kind
guy
of
is good.
fell off during Jump Rope Canyon.
Shut the fuck up. What do you mean it's called Hotel Dusk? That's just the name of a video game.
Actually, wait, no. I just remembered. We actually included the Mac guys in our last time when we did talk about our RPG party. And we did pick the slalom guy, so.
Oh, we did pick the slalom guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's the only guy. He's the only one. It's him and it's Dan.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll see you guys when I get my first update on the Ultraman. Obviously, me speaking by myself, I'll probably filter stuff depending on how much he writes.
I was about to say, I feel like I don't want to know too much about the anime.
I will.
The Ultraman. Ultraman V.
Yeah, I will take executive interpretations of what to say.
Die, Ultraman, die.
I wonder what a German Ultraman adaptation would be like.
No one who speaks German could be evil.
True.
Thank you for your email.
P.S.
Thank you.
Oh,
shit. I recently watched the movie Big, starring Tom Hanks, and there's a scene where Tom Hanks' character is wearing Gundam pajamas that just say robot on them, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
Also, an addendum email he sent a couple days later, or the same day.
Okay.
Something I just remembered and forgot to ask in my Lee email. I meant to ask, where does thank you for your email come from?
I think literally just because I said thank you for your email really fucking weird one time.
It was.
I think that's literally it.
I can't remember who did it first, but it was a series of we had said thank you for your email one at a time. All three of us had said it, and then one of us decided to say it again, and then we just kept saying.
Yeah.
And then I had that one episode where I wasn't on the episode, and I edited in. I said thank you for your email.
Yes.
I forgot about
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was good.
I know. I truly I don't remember which episode it was that it started. I don't remember who it was who incited it, but it just happened collectively. Yeah. So no, there is no grand explanation to this mystery, but I will release a posthumous explanation when I'm dead. Yeah. I'll publish a really stupid explanation.
Along with but you're not going to publish all those fucking secrets?
No.
That you're holding on to?
Oh, all the secrets that I'm holding on to that I'm taking to the grave with me? Yeah.
You know, I've developed I feel like Red hit and run like an ET like creature and buried the body somewhere.
That sounds like an Ultraman plot almost. Actually, wait, that was a Mirror Man plot.
That would rule.
That was kind of like a Mirror Man plot, wasn't it? Where like one guy they ran over someone who was an invader, and then later was like, "Don't worry, it's fine. He was an invader." And then she's like, "You're fucked up."
I'm writing this right now. So like, there's like a high school kid, right, who like he keeps writing down these numbers on like a paper and throwing them out, and everyone's like, "This is weird." And then like the attack team investigates. They realize it's a latitude and longitude, and the ghost of the alien he hit and run has been possessing him.
I see.
So that he can get justice from beyond the grave.
I see. And then Dan is like, no, he was an invading alien. You can't get justice for him. Gen wants to get justice for him.
And then the alien's younger brother, Alien Toby, shows up and gets big, and they have to fight him because you gotta have one of those. And then the kid's like, "I'm sorry."
And then the miracle never happened.
Yeah.
I was just talking about the fact that he's keeping the fact he's Ultraman a secret. Well. Thank you for your email.
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 That's us, right?
Yeah.
No more emails?
Yeah.
Fantastic. If you want to follow us online, you can do so at Ultra QUEUE on Blue Sky. We're also on Twitter at Ultra_QUEUE. I'm also on Blue Sky. I'm at Red November. Those are my plugs. Mel, your plugs.
Send emails ultraqpod@gmail.com. Also the coffee, UltraQ Fund.
Sick. Brad.
You can find me in the inner recesses at your mind at Be Invoked.
What the hell are you doing there?
Blue Sky. Causing problems.
Pay rent. The fuck?
I'm not paying rent if people think about me. That's a good
You're literally
scam.
living rent-free in people's heads.
Yeah.
The fuck?
I've detected you've been thinking about me a lot. There's a toll for that. They call me the Mind Lord.
You take taxes. People thinking about you.
Everyone's always writing about thought crimes. We should be writing about thought rent.
There's a good bit in the Takuji's chapter in Tsubahebi where in his delusions he thinks one of his teachers is like telepathically inserting like evil thoughts to him. And he's like, is that legal? And then he like recites in his mind the Japanese broadcast laws and is like, well, actually, I guess under Japanese law, that'd be legal.
Takuji's a fucking freak. My man is not normal.
No. He's not.
He is not normal. I really, 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 really love the bit when he's arguing with a teacher and the teacher's like, come here. You have to go to. We have to go see like a head teacher or something. And Takuji goes, I see when logic fails you. You reach straight for violence. And then Takuji picks up a vase and hits the teacher in the head with it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. That is the podcast. We will see you next week for 3 more episodes of Ultraman 80. Goodbye for now.
See you, everyone.
Later.
Let's go! UGM! UGM! この星は美しい星誰もが愛する青い星この星を守るのが我らの使命何か怪しいものが来る正体を